got a moment. When they see you down, just know they love it.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Bounce Back Podcast. I'm your host, B. Luke. I got a special guest with me today, so why don't you just tell the people your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself, a little bit of how much time maybe you got in total, where you've been in the system.
My name is John Ahearn. Most people know me as John. That's the name my mother gave me, actually, because we had so many Johns in the house. My father was John, my stepfather, just so on and so forth. Grew up in Charlestown. That's home base. That's God's country, you know. Basic single mother family. My mother took on two roles, playing daddy and mom. Unfortunately, my father was married when I was 5. In the 80s, Charlestown was a different place than it is now. My father he was a tough dude. You know, that's what happens when some people don't want to fight. My mother took that on the chin and, you know, rolled, and that's what it was. I had me, 2 older sisters, and my mother worked 3 jobs to take care of us. So she was really never home. But when she was home, she took care of business. So, but my 2 sisters, really, my sister Jessica was, rest in peace. You know, she's not with us anymore, but she was basically like my second mother. You know, she took over that job of like when Ma's not home, you know. 9 years older than me. My sister Jennifer is 8 years older than me. You know, so I can't say it was a challenge growing up. We never went without. You know, my mother made sure that everything was taken care of. I was a baby, so I was spoiled. You know, so there really wasn't any excuse. When I look back in retrospect, there was no excuse, you know, for some of the choices I made and some of the things I did. Because when I decided this is the path, this is what I'm gonna do, I went all in. I got straight A's. Like, things just came easy to me. My friends used to get mad in school because I just retracted information so easily that school just came very easy to me. And all the way through grade school, I got mostly straight A's, some B's, you know, in like math and science, because I just wasn't interested. But if I had semi-interest in something, I retracted information very easy. All my friends went to Catholic schools. I'm from Main Street in Charlestown. Mostly everyone that was from Main Street went to Catholic schools. Kids from the projects, you know, went to public schools. Really, that's how it was. But also, Newtown is played in with that. Really, Newtown and the projects, kinda, they're right next to each other. So there's a big separation between Charlestown is a very small place, but either you're from Main Street or you're from Newtown and the projects.
Well, going to Catholic school, I just remember like back in the day, I went to public school, but I had friends that went to like Matinal and stuff. They were a little bit more into like the OCs and all that.
I was the type of person who went and hung. There were kids from, like one of my best friends is from Newtown. So I went and kind of hung with some Newtown kids. You know what I mean? When I first got thrown out of my mother's, one of my best friends was Mark Russell. He's from Newtown. And that's where I lived.
I know Mark.
You know what I mean? That's where I lived. So like, I kind of was like cool with everyone, but home base was Main Street. But I ended up I went to Matinal. You speak of Matinal. I went to Matinal for 2 years, and that's where like everything changed. You know what I mean? I went from, like, I played sports my whole life. Like, sports was it. I never focused on one sport, but I excelled at every sport I played. So I went from every sport I played and being like very popular to being one of the only kids from Charlestown at that time. This was before everybody from Charlestown went to Matinal. There was only 3 of us, me and 2 girls from Charlestown that went there. And there was just a few other people, older kids from Charlestown, mostly girls that went there. So like, this was before that. So I didn't know anybody, and it felt fucking weird. It felt so weird to me, and I just didn't know how to cope with that. And the only way I coped with that was getting high. I started smoking weed and drinking on the weekends with my friends. And then I ended up getting to know people. But to cope with that initial feeling of what it is really is fear. You know what I mean? You don't know it at the time, but it's fear of the unknown, of everyone doesn't know me, caring what people think. All that kind of like controlled me so much that you know, I had to get high and I had to stay high. You know what I mean? So when I did something, I went like all in.
Your father, was that something that you felt you wanted to emulate?
My sister did, but not so much yet. You know what I mean? Not until I got to prison, and I'll get to that. You know what I mean? But so I started smoking weed. Just did that all day, every day, drinking on the weekends. So then I started taking beans, taking acid, smoking dust, and just doing it to so much excess that finally the school stepped in and was like, something has to be done, you know. And my mother was in so I feel so bad for my mother and the stuff that she went through in life, that she was in so much denial. And I don't know how she didn't know, because I would come home blacked out every Friday night, every Saturday night, and every day, mostly, like I would consume as many drugs as I could. Wow. And she just didn't know, you know what I mean? Until the school finally called home and said, listen, your kid is coming into school every day, so fucked up that you got to do something. So they sent me to some program.
So what was that conversation like with you and your mom?
My mother like broke down when they sent me to Mass General, and then I ended up having to go to St. Elizabeth's detox, and I was like very young. I was like 14, but I was on like a probationary period. Then I used to have 2 lockers in school because I was selling weed at the time. I was Mark was picking up like a couple pounds, so I was selling like, you know, he was giving me, you know, like quarter ounces, half ounce. I mean, quarter pounds, half pound. I forget, because I haven't fucked weed in so long. So he'd give me quarter pound, half pound, and you know, I'd just sell it. But mostly I was just smoking weed. Whatever money I'd get, I'd just throw it to that. And I was selling some weed in school, and I would sell it mostly in Charlestown. But I brought it to school because I didn't want to leave it at my house. And someone caught me putting it in the locker. I think it was a teacher that really didn't like me. So I went to go to the other locker, and the shit wasn't there. And I'm like, fuck. And they snatched me up, and they charged me and everything.
They charged you criminally?
Yeah.
So
and this was after I had just laid a kid out, and they had just put me on like probation, like you do anything else. Like I laid this kid out, I shattered his face, broke his nose. I'm not gonna say his name.
Was this in school? Or was this
yes, it was in school. He called me. I was saying he looked like Alf. He looked like Alf the alien, and he called me a crackhead. Called me a crackhead. Yeah, I remember that. Not like he fucking pissed me off, and I fucking laid him out.
So then you catch this weed case. Do they try to violate that probation?
I wasn't on probation yet, but I had a couple cases, like small cases, I caught. I had got chased, I remember, because I was fast growing up. Like I was real fast. I remember, like I won a road race when I was like 13. I remember just sprinting when it started, and I just never ran out of gas for 2 miles in one. I ran 2 miles in like, I think it was like 12 minutes. So like as a 13-year-old, like 6-minute miles is not bad. But I was rolling weed, and there was these 2 cops in Charlestown, Charbot and Caulfield. And they walked up to Eden Street, and dudes were like, here come the cops. They walked up right on the hill, and no one seen them. And I'm like, fuck, what the fuck do I do? I had like 2 dime bags and a couple dime bags in my pocket. And dudes are like, run. And I fucking ran. And this chase ended up going from one end of Charlestown to the another, to Newtown, through the Charlestown High field where Pop Warner was going on. I think like I was still playing Pop Warner at the time. And my coach was there like, what the fuck are you doing? Why ain't you at practice? And the cops chased me through. I went up through the Bunker Hill Park. It was everywhere. I'm telling you, this thing went for like 2 miles and I never got caught. So these dudes hated me, because I embarrassed the shit out of them. So anything I did, they arrested me for. So I remember me and my cousin Danny Feeney were throwing snowballs at Caps, arrested me for it. I was walking up to my friend's house with a case of beers, and he was over 21, and they still grabbed me, snatched the beers, arrested me for mine. So I had those many cases. So I ended up, yes, in the long run, it did, because I violated that, and that's how I first ended up going to DYS.
And where was that at the time? Was it Harvard Street?
Harvard Street wasn't there yet,
okay,
but it was on Harvard Street.
Okay.
It was actually, yes, it was. They built Harvard Street right there. They started building it while I was there. It was called Metro Gym. But there was also Challenge and JRI there.
And just talk about that experience. How long were you there for?
Me and my friends had an incident. A friend of mine, his sister, which was also a very good friend of mine, and an ex-girlfriend of mine, God rest her soul. Me and my girlfriend at the time seen this group of Asians in Charlestown, which was very weird at the time. It was like 96, 97. And we're like, wow, what the fuck are they doing? So we walk by them, they don't say nothing. So we're coming back from store 24 and we see the girl, Megan, her name was, and she was all beat up. And we're like, what the fuck happened? She's like, these fucking Asians just jumped me. And we're like, what? We just seen them. So she's got 2 brothers, very good friends of mine. One of them just passed away, too. And we're like, where's call them? There's no cell phones at the time, so we gotta go run to the house. We gotta go snatch them up. There's like 10 of them, right. Like 7 boys, 3 girls. But who cares? We'll try to snatch up who we can at the time, which we don't end up getting anybody. We see a couple kids who have excuses. I remember one person who we were in Concord, but I'm not gonna put them out there. Oh, I got warrants. I'm like, are you serious? But we go. They're at community college. So we go and bang on them. And, you know, what ended up happening. One of them ended up coming very close to dying. My friend got really hurt, but the situation, we ended up leaving. Now my friend, I'm with him, he needs medical attention. So a girl from Charlestown was there getting off the train, and she brings us to her house. We call his mother, and we're going to try to take him to the hospital. So she's like, wait outside, I'm gonna be right there. As soon as we go down on Main Street, cops everywhere. We get chased, we get caught, they stick a canine. I'm like, fuck that. I jump on a car, you got me, get that thing away from me. Boom, we get to the police station, all my friends are there. I'm like, what the hell? What are you doing? They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean, what are we doing? I guess they just showed up once they heard. Yeah. And the Asians start yelling, saying racial things at them. Yeah. And then they snatched them up. They were saying they were there, that they were part of it. Wow. They had nothing to do with it. So bang, next thing you know, we got large bails. We show up to court, cameras everywhere. Our family ends up bailing us out, all of us, right? It's on the cover of the Herald, racial thing, right? Had nothing to do with, nothing racial, it was just the time it was. Now I'm in Charlestown High. I got kicked out of Matanon, right? It's a big thing. they have a meeting to see if they're gonna let me back in the school because a big race, and I'm like, this is crazy. So they end up letting me back in, and I'm just walking to school. This is like a couple weeks later, and I see 2 kids from Charlestown beefing with 3 black kids, and I'm rolling a bag of dust, and I'm like, fuck, what do I do? I want to smoke this bag of dust, but I got to help these kids out. So I just run up, and the school police are coming now. And I'm like, fuck, like now it's just time to break it up. It gets getting broken up. Kid turns around. Now it's all made of brick, walking up to Charlestown High. Kid turns around, bang, smashes me with a brick. Damn. So I'm like, phew. I just start banging with him, obviously. Mm-hmm. Naturally, to protect myself, everywhere I go, I have a knife. My whole life, I just had the knife. I didn't pull it, I didn't use it. Bang, they use this as an excuse to throw me out of school. Oh, yeah. They try to send me to the Barron Center, which is where they send you if you get caught with weapons, and I'm not going to the Barron Center. But let me tell you about, I end up going to DYS for the race thing. Mm-hmm. So now I'm in Metro Gym. There's no cells. Everybody's in the gym all day. They just bring these canoes out, put the mats on the gym. So now I'm playing basketball. I've played basketball my whole life. I love playing ball. Me and this Korean kid are just eating dudes up 2-on-2. So we go to chow together. This is like right after I get there. I'm like, where you from? He's like, East Boston. He's like, where you from? I'm like, Charlestown. He's like, oh, I got beef with dudes from Charlestown. Friggin', these dudes friggin' stabbed my mans and da-da-da. I'm like, oh my fucking God, are you kidding me? So boom, I gotta set it on him. And then everyone ends up finding about the case. So now I'm the only white dude there, and I'm the racist white dude with the civil rights case, and it was crazy. I can't even, it was bad. I got jumped at night. It was for like 3 weeks until finally they moved me. Now you didn't get phone calls, nothing. I never even told my mother, like never even said nothing. It was just, this is what it is. I can't complain to no one. It's an all black staff. They know I got a civil rights case. There ain't no one helping you. It's just, it is what it is. But you know what? In hindsight, it's what helped turn me into a man that was ready for what I had to go through in life. Do you know what I mean? Which I didn't know at the time, but it turned me into someone who just didn't give a fuck.
So how long until you got out of there? How long did you...
3 weeks until they moved me to Challenge, which had cells. Finally, they were like, somebody sounded the alarm. I don't know who, but they just moved me out of nowhere to Challenge, which had cells. You can get TVs. It was just a better situation. And then finally, you're somewhere where like there was one other white dude. It ended up being Sully. I don't know if you know Sully, Sean McDonald, but that's where we ended up linking up. He's done a bunch of time. We ended up going through our whole incarcerated life together. We ended up being there together, Salt Bay, Shirley Max.
It's a common theme, I feel like.
Yes.
Kids from DYS.
But that, at least I had somebody who had my back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And at least I had that. You know what I mean?
Did you know him from the street too?
No, I met him there.
You met him in there? Okay.
I met him there. What was funny was we always talk about this. We both just knew what it was, right? He was on a different floor. They moved him to my floor. And we went to the gym one day and we just started shooting hoops together, right? And we didn't talk for like an hour. We didn't talk. We just played hoops and just were friends without even talking, you know? And we always mention that day, like how we just didn't say nothing to each other. It was so friggin' weird, you know? But it's because we just knew.
Yeah, what's understood sometimes.
Yeah. It was what it was. But that's why he's my man.
High school, or did you get your GED?
I did.
Or adult?
I did get my diploma because I had credits from Matignon, from Charlestown High, and my mother worked for Boston Public Schools, so.
So you graduate high school, you get your diploma. What's the next move in life? Did you try to join the union?
Heroin.
Okay.
I was in the longshoremen's union. My father was a longshoreman. My grandfather was a longshoreman, which is another thing I screwed up. Because if I just went the right way in life, I'd be making. They just went on strike, and then they had to give in to them. Because they go on strike, nothing gets nowhere. So they gave in to them, and they get I think the increase ends up being like $24 over the next 6 years.
Wow.
And they already make $30, $40 an hour. So just imagine that. And I still have a card, but I already promised I was giving it to my nephew, and eventually I want my son to get one. So I have a lot of bad memories down there, and just anytime I was down there, I was getting high. Any dollar I ever made down there, I used to get high, and I put a lot of people in danger down there. I'm gonna be honest, you know. I had to take off from there so many times, driving 14-wheeler trucks, whacked out on dust, shooting coke, almost tipping over. It was just a nightmare down there. But I started shooting heroin because I just got tired of other drugs. They weren't doing enough. So what was next? I didn't enjoy heroin so much. It's just, there was nothing else left. So
do you think the fact that not having your father around was
no, I don't think, because you know what, my mother met a man.
So you had somebody.
In he's one of the best men I've ever met. So
Stepfather role.
my stepfather is a good man, and I can't really use that as an excuse. I just loved getting high.
Asking.
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not combating what you're saying. I'm just answering, and that's for me. I can never really say that.
Well, that's
I've
good to
had
have
tragedy.
accountability, man, 'cause a lot of people don't want to,
I've had tragedy. You know, my father died, my sister died, my niece died, so many cousins. I've had a lot of tragedy in my life, but I didn't use when my sister died, and that was tough. That's the toughest thing I ever went through, because she was more like my mother. You know, anytime I got out, I couldn't go do the things I wanted and live at my mother's. So I went and did it at my sister's, because she would never leave me homeless.
Now you're down that path. You're doing heroin. I mean, where does that lead you? How does that stop? Crime? You get arrested?
Yeah, I mean,
Is that what pretty
there's
much
just
the
no
only thing
way.
to stop you at that point?
Yeah, rescued. Yeah. You know, and I always see it, like some people that are out there and they just won't stop. And I seen it with my sister. She just wouldn't stop. But I knew she wasn't the type of person to get arrested, and I just wish she would. But I was always the type of person that I'm either gonna die or get arrested. And thank God I got arrested.
It sounds messed up, but it
Because
saves people's life.
the things I was doing, I've done so many fucking crazy things. And to think that I made it through some of those things without crazy sentences and just getting arrested with just, you know, minimum amount of things, you know. And I've spent about 18 years incarcerated, and that's, at the time, the last time I got out, I was 37, and I had half my life incarcerated.
So did you do a couple county
when I
bits
had got out?
first?
Yes. It had got gradually. At 18, I did 6 months, just for little things. I'd get arrested for anything.
Yeah.
That was when you used to get charged with needles.
Okay.
So I would literally they'd grab me, charge me with hypodermic syringes, and get violated for that. I did my first house of correction sentence for possession of a hypodermic syringe. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? It's something you could just walk in a freaking CVS and grab as many as you want. I did a house of correction sentence for. I went to Salt Bay, and that's when Salt Bay, listen, that's when Salt Bay that was in the 90s. It was detention. You could fucking feel there. You could cut with a knife, the racial fucking tension. That's when there was white phones, black phones, white microwaves, black microwaves. You were lucky if you can get a fucking phone call or a shower. You had to go out tied up every fucking wreck and be ready to fight for a shower or a phone. And if you weren't, you weren't gonna get it. You know what I mean? Like if you weren't 100% dead set on, I'm willing to fight for a fucking shower or a phone, then I can't say you weren't gonna get it, but there's a good chance you could get challenged and get punked off for one or the other. You know what I mean?
Doing that, and with it being kind of a rough, it seems like kind of a rough way to do time, it still wasn't enough to stop you when you got out?
No, because I would literally, like, some people would think of, oh, I can't wait to get out, and I remember McFlurries had just started, and you could always see McDonald's from South Bay, and like that was one of the things I would be like, oh my God, I want a fucking McFlurry. But it would always be overshadowed by, oh my God, I want to shoot cocaine.
Wow.
Once I started shooting cocaine, that is the only thing I fucking thought of. And I would do all this shit just to commit all this crime and do whatever I can to get $40 to get extremely fucking paranoid and just be a person that nobody in the world would want to be around.
Enjoy it for about 2 seconds.
Literally, I am like one of the worst people in the world you'd ever want to be around. It is just ugly. My wife can tell you, like, because we used together. Like our story is a crazy story.
What leads to the state time? Just more serious charges?
That was a crazy night because I could have got a lot more time. But what I did was change. I was at least smart where the statute of limitations were passed, so I'll talk about it. I did a carjacking. I was just like, fuck it. I'm getting whatever the fuck I want. Whatever you got is mine. You got drugs, they're mine. That's it. You know what I mean? I seen this fucking yuppie, carjacked her, took her money, took whatever she had, took her car. I went, got high with a couple of friends of mine. He gave me some clothes to change. And then I went and robbed Store 24 with the changed clothes, which was only like an hour later. So the description on both were very different. But when they went in and showed the pictures of the person robbing the Store 24, like they try to say my wife had the pants, and they grabbed my wife and said she had the pants, and they weren't even the same pants. But I'm like, you know what? I need to go. Like, they grabbed me, they knew it was me, and I'm like, you know what? You got me. Yeah. Like, I knew it was time. It was fucking time. All right, you got that. I did the Store 24. The carjack, no, I don't know about anything about that. I don't know about that. So I took 3 years. 3 years for the Store 24. And that was it. But that, naturally. But let me go through. Once I realized my second bid, I realized, I remember somebody, I remember who it was. It was my friend Miguel. I remember him going through, wow, there's a bunch of tough dudes on this block. Fucking this one, that one. He named himself. And I'm like, and he didn't fucking name me. And I'm like it pissed me off. And I remember, like, you know what? Like, tough dudes get respect. And, like, I'm going to stop putting in work. I'm young. I'm fucking, if this is what I'm going to do, this is where I'm going to spend. This is where I'm going to be. South Bay.
South Bay, okay.
So I ended up getting a deuce and a half out of Bill Ricker. I got out. I did something stupid. The Fed, this was fucking nuts. So I'm driving around everywhere. I'm driving around in hot boxes, hot box to hot box. I'm sleeping in hot boxes, shooting coke. Now I know the feds are following me. I know it. Everyone's like, you're fucking crazy. What's wrong with you? Like, you're shooting too much coke. I'm like, so The feds are following me at Everett Target. It just opened. I get out of the car. I call my friend, come pick me up. Feds are following me. All right, whatever, you fucking weirdo. They come pick me up. Next day, same fucking feds following me. So I'm like, I need to make money. I have to do something. Like I was getting hot boxes and I obviously doing shit too. This guy's following me and I'm sick. I'm beamed out too. So I drive over to Ames, where Ames was in Wellington. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just go in and run out with a couple DVD players. He's a fed. He's not going to fucking do nothing. Wrong.
Right.
I was wrong.
So
yeah, he powed. I fucking crashed into a fire hydrant, and he arrested me. But I was right. He told and said it. Yeah, I've been following you. That was smart the other day, having your friends come pick me up. His name was Phillips, Special Agent Phillips of the Bank Robbery Task Force. And they held me and had Margaret Cronin, who was the head of the Bank Robbery Task Force at the time. So they're like, yeah, they put me up in the second floor in the Medford Police Station. And they got the DVD player in there, right? So they're like, all right, wait here. And I'm in there alone. And I'm like, fucking, what the fuck's wrong with them? I fucking look at the window. I'm like, I'm out of here. But instead of just jumping out first, what did I do? I threw the DVD player out, tried to take it with me. So I throw the DVD player out. Naturally, the cops downstairs on the first floor are like, what the fuck? What the fuck's this kid doing? They see the DVD player go out, and then me try to hop out the window. They tackle me. And
you didn't make it fun?
No. No. And I'm like, I'm not. They're like, all right, the feds, I'm like, I'm not.
So who they charging
Well, I
you
see you
with
later.
something like that?
No.
Okay.
They just want to talk to me and know that whatever. But I refused after that. I just was up there trying to scheme and figure out if I could probably try to get out of there. But, yeah, so I was, obviously, I knew it. When you know certain things, you know certain things. But I got a deuce and a half for that. So I go to Bill Ricker, and, like, that's where it like, all began. Like,
the change.
Yes, just taking people out.
Oh, okay. Starting your path of
just
violence. And
yes, violence,
work,
yes.
quote, and all that.
And I put in, I'd say that, most people would agree that I put in some prison work.
Okay, so, but what kind of bid does that normally lead to?
It led to a lot of hold time. A lot of hold time. A lot of hold time, a lot of smashing sinks, fighting move teams, going down to the wine cellar. I spent a lot of time in the wine cellar.
It was a rough bid.
Yeah, I spent most of that deuce and a half on the third tier or in the wine cellar. But I become like immune to it. I looked at it like this, like being in population is a privilege. It took so much beating on the soul and beating on the body for me to go through to get to the point where, like, all right, this is enough. I did those county bids, 6 months, a year, deuce and a half. A state bid where I did the 3 years, did that all in Walpole. I got out, wasn't out long, kept going back. I caught a lot of cases where I was lucky I beat. That's when I kept coming back and forth to Concord. I beat a Mayhem. I beat another case where the feds were involved. And I also had another assault battery with a dangerous weapon where somebody, was stabbed. And I had those cases at the same time.
Superior court and all that.
I never got indicted because the victim didn't. But I just got lucky. I got very lucky, you know what I mean? Because my co-defendant went to the feds, and I don't really want to touch too much on that because he's not with us anymore, and that led to a lot of bad talk. What happened with that case, and it's just unfortunate what happened with that case, but I'm lucky that I never got any time out of it.
So when was your last time locked up? Was that Concord? What are you, on 52A status up there?
I came through and I finally got hemmed up with something that I was caught, and that was it. And I got 6 years. I got 6 years, and with whatever probation I got, I think I got 3 years probation. So I did the 6 years, and that bid was just a lot different. You know, I got older. You know, I missed my 30s after missing all my 20s incarcerated, and Suboxone was around, and I seen a lot of people change, and I had to maintain a habit the friggin' whole bid, and it sucked. But I was lucky. I had, you know, I had a person that you know, was providing me with a script every month, and I did all right. So as far as like bidding goes, like I had everything I wanted, but that place has a way of just trying to break your mind down, and it's very hard to, no matter how much canteen you have, or no matter how many books of stamps you have, it'll still
a miserable place, no matter.
The amount of years you spend in there. I spent 6 years there, and it just will do, it'll do bad things to your mind. You know what I mean? I spent my last, well, I wrapped up out of DDU. I caught a DDU ticket with like 14 months left. Yeah, but this was before. Yeah, so that happened, and you know, fortunately I had to kick. You know, a 5-year habit. I went to 10 block, so no fishing in the toilet, no.
Did you get out clean?
None of that, yes.
Okay, did you start to like develop some sort of plan upon getting out? Did you have any idea what you wanted to do?
I'm gonna be honest, even after being in the hole that long, I still didn't feel 100%. That shit does so fucked up things to your body. I still couldn't sleep. No, and mentally, I just wasn't in the right place. I wasn't with the right person. Well, not that it's their fault. I'm accountable for the decisions I make. And it wasn't long till I relapsed. And I didn't finish that probation, but I come close. It was a 3-year probation. I only had like 2 months left on it. So they only gave me the year. I had to go back to South Bay. And that was it. That was it. Going back there, I believe, was just maybe what I needed to see that I don't want to continue. I was almost 40 years old. These are not the people I want to be around. You know, my family is still here with me. My mother, the rock she is, still friggin' here. Unfortunately, like I said, my niece passed away during that, and I just wanted something different. So when I got out, it was right around COVID time. I left the girl I was with. I just boom, because it was just kind of poison for me. It just was. It was just a bad relationship, you know, and it just kept me from growing. You know what I mean? And once I did that, it stunted me. Once I did that, I got back with my kid's mother. We had another kid, and I honestly can't say that when I look at my family, like when I just left my house and my family gives me a hug and kiss, daddy, bye. Like, there is nothing in this fucking world that can capture that feeling. None of the drugs I did, no, nothing.
Would you say that's the main reason that you're
That's it. I've had so many health scares. Like I said, I had a heart attack when I was 38, shooting meth, smoking crack. My kidneys failed at the same time. You know, I come so close to death so many times. I've overdosed more times than I could count. My body is just can't take anymore. You know, like I said, I have type 2 diabetes now, high blood pressure, cirrhosis, so much. And I have to be there. I have to be there for my family. It's not fair to rob them of the person I am now, because they love that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
came a long way.
that just
Doing all that time, John. What would you say is like the worst part about prison, being locked up?
it wasn't even like the cop. It's the people now, the individuals, watching people give up. Like, I stuck to prison rules. There's prison rules, there's unwritten prison rules, and I watched people that were good dudes just give up their morals, and knowing that there is just no more. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I had some fun in the joint. Like in Walpole, drinking, fucking going to the gym, like not even like getting high, but like here and there, eating some Johnnies, getting drunk, hanging out with good guys, having fucking laughs. There is no more of that.
People get completely strung out now.
There is no more of that. So many of them good guys aren't here no more.
No.
You know, like guys from your neighborhood, Nicky, Georgie. I had them over in Charlestown. They're both gone. Like, guys I really fucking love, you know. So many of them, they're not doing time anymore. They learned like I did, or they're dead, or they gave up their fucking morals. And it's like, what am I doing this for? I'm not going to give up my morals, but I just don't want to be around this anymore. There's so much better out there. And I've seen it. I have it. I wouldn't trade this for nothing.
What advice would you give to somebody who's, you know, trying to stay clean, stay out of jail, all of it?
I compare almost everything like to a sports analogy.
Right.
It's like my life is like I try to build like a super team. You know what I mean? Like the Celtics, adding Holiday and Porzingis, and we're up against the Pistons, like 30 points, and you can't get too comfortable because your disease will come back. You know, you gotta make sure like you keep that lineup solid, my family solid, and don't let, because it'll happen. It's happened. In the 5 years, like I've fucked up, I've slipped once or twice, but right away I fucking realized, nope, I know how that story ends. I know where that goes. So I know that team, you know, it's a strong team. It's a super team. It's got LeBron. It's got fucking Anthony Davis. It's got Luka. You got to stay with that lead. You can't get comfortable. You got to keep your team. You got to keep that lead strong. You got to keep, you know, you can't get comfortable because friggin', you know, it's there. It's never gonna go away. And fucking, I just ain't ready for.
What are some things you're looking forward to as far as moving forward with your life, your family?
I just honestly, like, I couldn't ask for much more than I have. I keep it simple.
Be grateful for that.
I keep it simple. Like, we have everything we need. Like, there's nothing else more. Like, I'm obsessed with sneakers. It's the only thing I look forward to. More sneakers coming out. And my kid, I don't want them to grow. I don't want them to get any older. I love what they are now. I don't want, you know what I mean? I fear the future. Like, things, we live comfortable. And, you know, I really don't, just getting older. You know, I don't want the future to come because I don't want to get older. I don't want my kids to get older. So I guess, honestly, I really don't look look past what I have now? I really can't answer that question because I just am comfortable with what I have.
Why did you want to come up here and tell your story? Why is it important for people to hear these stories?
Because some people that know me and people that don't have seen me when I run, when I was at my lowest and I had no fucking hope. And I know that it's been at points where it's like, that motherfucker ain't ever gonna learn. When I kept going back to Concord, like, that motherfucker's gonna be in and out the joint for the rest of his life. I know people have said it to me. But to look and see where my life is, I am a fucking living miracle. And I know people can gain strength from my life and my story, because I've been to hell. You know what I mean? And right now where I'm at, like, I've come out of it, and I am generally happy. I woke up happy today. I couldn't be any more grateful than where I'm at today. And anyone that's struggling with anything, going in and out of the joint, can't stop getting high, I did it. Any motherfucker in the world can do it. Believe that.
Absolutely. What message would you have for the youth, man? Say there's some young teenagers out there watching this, man, and it's that, you know how it is as a teenager.
Some people are
you're
gonna do what you're gonna do, and it sucks. I understand that. You know, some people like me, you couldn't say nothing to me, nothing. I knew everything. I'm gonna tell you, you don't know shit. You want to go through what you want to go through? Okay, you're gonna learn the hard way. You want to learn the hard way? You might not make it to 43 like me.
You don't get those years back.
You don't get none of that back. You don't get a refund. That's something I always say. You can't ask for a refund on none of that. On none of that. That's a big freaking saying of mine.
None of that shit any back. Closing words or last things you wanted to say, or something maybe we didn't get a chance to touch on, bro?
No, I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, I appreciate you coming. You want to drop the social media? I feel like you got a couple of them.
I got so many, but my main one is at AHEARN, Ahearn, my last name, 6224. I usually have some sneakers for sale. I got some for sale right now. Just check that out.
Yeah, and I'll post it in the beginning too. And I appreciate you coming through, telling your story, man. I think we need more people to come and tell these stories. And like I said, I'm just super appreciative of that, man. So
no doubt.
Guys, that's John right there. I'm your boy B. Luke. This is the Bounce Back Podcast. Remember, it is what it is. What's next? That's what you make it. On that note, I'm out of here. Peace.
Ain't got a moment when they see you down, there's no love.